Hi, I'm Pastor Franny. Welcome to Heart of the Matter. On our last episode, we talked about fatal attractions through our devices, right? And we focused on our children. Well, on this episode, we have a very special guest, and I'd like to introduce her to you. Her name is Terry Perkins. She's a native of Pensacola, Florida. She received her bachelor's and master's in social work from the University of West Florida. Terry is a clinical program supervisor at the Children's Home Society and provides direct services to clinics, school administrators, teachers, staff at the middle schools in Escambia County. She's a fully licensed clinical social worker and qualified supervisor for master-level interns who are working toward their license. She has also been an adjunct field instructor at the University of West Florida teaching in the Department of Social Work. Terry has provided therapy services for over 15 years in outpatient, in-home, school-linked mental health programs and treatment settings. Terry enjoys working with children of all ages and is certified as a trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapist, also a child-parent psychotherapist. Terry has taken extensive coursework and attended numerous trainings in attachment and bonding, infant mental health, childhood trauma, and adverse childhood experiences. As you can see, Terry is very qualified to talk to us today on this subject, and I would like to welcome her. Thank you for joining us today. Now that we know about your professional training, I just want to ask you a bit about your walk and how you came to know our ministry.
Well, thank you for having me today. So, my walk in this journey of being a social worker started with me training to become a child advocate with the Guardian Ad Litem program. So with that program within the state of Florida, you go through a training, and then I would be known as a Guardian Ad Litem, which is a volunteer position. So within that position, I was tasked with working cases, advocating for children, speaking on their behalf in court. From that, I then decided to become a social worker, and that is how I started the journey of becoming educated through the university, obtaining my bachelor's degree. I then started to pursue my master's degree, and within those educational semesters, I would work different positions and fields, but always interested in working with children. So during the course of completing my graduate degree, I then decided to seek more education or further my education. And with that, take different trainings, courses to become certified in different fields in regards to children. So once I completed all of that, I started working with an agency that allowed or presented the opportunity for me to become a child parent psychotherapist. So through our early childhood courts in Escambia County, they provided grant opportunities. I was one of the participants that was chosen, and once that was completed, I was certified of becoming a child parent psychotherapist. Started working as a fee-for-service employee with Children's Home Society, and that position turned into a full-time position where I was then granted another opportunity to become a child parent psychotherapist. In regards to my walk in Christ and really learning more about Life Transforming Ministries, a lot of that was due to my sister, Lakeisha McKenzie, who is also a member of Life Transforming Ministries. But as I think back, when Lakeisha first became a member of LTM, she always spoke highly about the church and Pastor Nick and Pastor Franny. So my entire family, we all knew about LTM. I mean, LTM was the topic of conversation with Lakeisha. But visiting her in Orlando, I would always stay long enough so that I can attend church on Sundays and leave and return home on Mondays. But, the earlier part of my journey with Christ is not the journey that I am at today. I can truly say that I have grown so much, and watching her life and how so much has changed in her life, just her growth, her walk with Christ, it has encouraged me. It has, really made me want to learn more about the Word, the way that your husband, Pastor Nick, as well as you, Pastor Franny, your teachings. It is just so hard to explain. I can see things within my life now, even following, LTM, over the years, the church has been in many different locations, and I've visited those locations, really getting to know your family, know your children, your grandchildren. I mean, it's just been wonderful. And so today I see myself, just so different. Even with my conversations that I have with people, whether that's, my friends, the people that I work with, and within my private practice. So I started a private practice business, and this is where I am truly able to flourish, utilizing the words and the teachings that I'm learning from LTM. Because it's just needed. It's needed so much today. And I see that, I recognize it. So I'm just so eager, every morning to get up and listen to Winning in the Word, to start my day every day, sharing that with others. But yeah, this is where I am today. And it just feels great. It's so great. And I'm just so appreciative for you and Pastor Nick. Your teachings, your commitment, your dedication to always being up, starting with Winning in the Word, the Heart of the Matter show, just all of it. So yes, that is my journey with my walk in Christ. I was not there in my journey years ago. You attend church because that is what you're taught, but truly understanding and utilizing what is being taught. I mean, really putting it into actions. It's
Applying it.
just, yes, it's just so different. I find myself at times, just looking back on some of the things that I've experienced and how I've overcome those things, really understanding that a lot of that is because, now I'm in a position where I just trust God. I have faith, I
Glory to
trust God,
God.
which is what, this ministry teaches, the importance of that. And I am a true believer, and again, going back to Lakeisha and just looking at her life, staying committed, so.
She's such a testimony.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's wonderful. And I share it with anyone that I can share it with, definitely, look at the shows and, get the word. And I feel that I'm in a position where I'm ministering to people that I see in my practice.
Amen.
So
Amen.
it's great. It's been really great. And I'm just very appreciative.
Well, so are we, and we're so glad to have you today, and you are family. I tell you, looking back over the years, and I've seen your growth as well, and I'm really just excited about what God is doing with you, and I just know it's going to be awesome for the body of Christ. Well, let's talk about last week's show.
Okay.
We talked about the fatal attractions and the devices and the things and how it's damaging our children, not only the children, marriages, everything. So, but I wanted to ask you, I know that you help children in many different areas, health, psychological, development. Can you tell us a little bit on the subject when it comes to social networks and the smartphones?
Social network and smartphones, while they have there are so many great things about them. However, what we are learning is they can also be so detrimental to them. We are learning that these smart devices, what we call in our world sometimes is that it babysits the children.
Yeah.
They are so, many of them, they become so consumed to a point of where it can actually become an addiction for them because they're so focused on, playing this game or winning this game. So, you have your popular games that they play. And, then they're in positions where, they need money to buy this for this game. But the screen time alone, spending all day on those games, it takes away from the interaction with the parent, the social interaction with other children. And so then you see that they struggle with their social skills. You see that they struggle with their language, their receptive language, all of those things. It
Explain receptive language.
so receptive language is, their ability to, it's like you and I communicating. And when we communicate, we equally understand what, each of us, what we're talking about, what we're saying. But sometimes for children, when they're struggling in that area, because, you have your expressions and then what's receptive, sometimes they're unable to understand simple things that you are asking them to do, simple instructions when there is not a lot of communication occurring either within the home or with other what we call human beings or individuals. Those things are not happening or occurring because they are playing video games. And so, what we also understand with video games and children is that there is no physical activity because they're so consumed again with the video games.
I've experienced that in children's ministry. I mean, just a simple question, and it's like deer in headlights. And I'm wondering, okay, and I said it again, and it's still, I'm saying, wow, they really don't understand what I'm saying. I mean, it's the basics. I mean, I've even asked children, new children, what's your name?
Right.
And they can't tell me their name.
And think about their ability to even articulate, how they enunciate, how they speak. Because for some of them, there is not a lot of communication occurring. And when there is no communication occurring, then how are they learning to talk? How are they learning to speak? When they just have the video game and that is what they have in front of them. So we also know and understand that it is just so detrimental to them because the human connection is just so important, and a lot of times we fail to understand how important that is.
Right. Wow, because we're not every day going, doing, distracted, busy, and they're not in our hair, we're not talking, so we're thinking, I got my to-do list done, but your child hasn't had any verbal
Yes.
instructions or anything today.
And
Anything
not to
verbal.
mention
Very
the
little.
anger, the irritability that comes along, when they play a game and they lose, that's the other piece.
I've seen
Not
that.
winning. I'm not winning, or, someone, stole this from me on a game. I mean, it's a plethora of things that occur with these video games, but
And that's why you think that is? Because I've seen it a lot in ministry. And they cry, bawl their little eyes out because they didn't win. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, so you might win tomorrow. It's okay that you didn't win. So I'm having to teach these kids it's okay that you didn't
Yeah.
win today.
yeah, which is just not the reality of today. I mean, what society is teaching us is if you are very skilled and very talented with these video games, you're in a position to even make money, earn money. When you are a gamer, you're very skilled at being a gamer. So I think it's just so much more to the world of gaming and the gaming systems that we truly don't understand some of the things that go on, with these games. One of the kids introduced me to a video game, and I was just shocked and surprised because there are so many inappropriate things that they're allowed to do on these video games.
Amen.
It was shocking.
Amen.
But as a parent, how many parents truly know what their child is engaging in on these games? I mean, even though it's a video game, it's still teaching them things that are wrong and it's inappropriate for their age.
Amen. I I understand being a parent. I understand there's a lot to be done, but we have to train our children.
Yes.
It's a must. If we don't, they're going to be illiterate, just lost from what I'm seeing, lost. Many of them can't do simple timetables, can't read, and that's why I started this whole series. It was very, very alarming to me. All this is going on with the children. I can just imagine how the teachers feel at school. So explain to us. I mean, I know it caught them off guard because now we're seeing the effects. Before we really didn't see the effects of the kids being on the game all the time, all day.
Right.
So how has it hurt that aspect of teaching and the schools and the teachers and the administrators of having to teach these children?
The school, I can only imagine as an educator how overwhelming it is when children are placed into your class and they have what we view the term as, many of them are just so dysregulated. And so when they're dysregulated, we could look at that as, being all over the place. 1 minute they may be very happy, the next minute they may be sad, and then there's another minute where they're angry, they're irritable. And that is a huge responsibility for educators. Because for educators, their role, their position, of course, always is to care about the children, meeting their educational needs, but they are now tasked with meeting needs that we view and we understand as having some mental health issues. And that can be very trying, it can be very testing, because if your job is to teach, you're promoting education, you are working with children to get them in a place, a position to where they understand literature, understand phonics, understand mathematics, but it is difficult to teach when you have children that are struggling emotionally.
Yeah, behavior issues.
Yes.
I noticed that too in ministry. I just can't imagine, like you said, you may have 5, 6 in that class that you're trying to
Yes.
help, which is very difficult. The saying, one apple spoils the whole bunch. I've had them with some children come to ministry, same thing. You could tell some type of problem, can't move, stop moving, touching, go around touching everybody. They got a problem with everybody. This one said this to me. Everything's a problem. But God has given me wisdom with these children. And I tell you, we've had several come in, and now they're the sweetest little thing. And I know why now, because of what you just said. I'm bringing in one bad apple. And now they will make the adjustment to become like their environment.
Yes.
But when you're fighting with 5 or 6, you're going to be overcome.
Yes.
They're going to rule, reign, and dominate. So now I see why I'm having so much success as well. And plus, God gives me wisdom about each and every one of them. And I'm just finding out a lot of times it's just being fair with everyone. And a lot of times, like you say, they feel like you're not fair with them. And a lot of times I got when they're crying, everything's a problem, and I'll just simply say, today we're going to do this. Why are you crying? I don't want to do that. I said, okay, stop a minute, look around the class. Class, you see anyone else crying? And it's almost like a light come on. Do you see anyone else crying about what I said? You look around. You can't do what you want to do all the time. I have the authority and I'm running the class and everybody else is okay with it. So, are you okay with it? Yes.
Yeah, because we're teaching them. We're teaching them that if you would like your needs to be met, then you can communicate that. And it's okay that if something doesn't go your way, that's okay. However, this is what we are doing today.
This is how we
So
do it.
yes, let's join in and let's work on this together. And you see that a lot, Pastor Franny. Oftentimes the way a child expresses themselves is how they get their needs met.
In the home.
That's how they get their needs met. And so we really want to teach them to be children who can communicate and articulate what is their struggle, what's going on, versus becoming very emotional. So yes.
And you hit it on the head. They act this way because they act emotional at home and they get what they want. And I've had parents come back after church. How were they? I said, they were great. They were great.
Yeah.
They're surprised. Yeah, they were great. Really? Yes.
Yes. And environment is important. So
It
if you
is.
think about, the environment of church or the environment of, Sunday school for them, those things are so important because it shows them a different way. They are able to see other children being regulated, being able to enjoy the day, enjoy the moment, learn. And I truly feel that environment makes up a lot of things that occurs within, all of our lives,
Amen.
our environment. It is so important that environment is an environment where there is love, there is nurture. And so I know that as Christians, we can definitely look at that and help them to see there is a better way, there is a different way. We can do this a different way. But are they open to that? And so that's the other piece and part to that. How open are you, to this?
I want to add to that list also discipline. I'm finding, even with the people that come and serve in the ministry, they have the propensity to let the kids have their way. They don't want to correct. They're shy about it. And the kid knows it. Once the kid sniffs that out, that you're timid, it's over. You have
Yes.
lost your authority at that point. I'm not saying yell or scream at a kid, but I'm going to correct you, then I'm going to build you up. I'm going to tell you what a great kid, you're a good kid. You're a good boy, you're a good girl. But this, we're not going to do.
Right.
And I notice even the parents, even my servants have a hard time doing that, but it shows me how they deal with their children. And they always pacify. No, we're not going to pacify anybody. This is the rule. And it's the rule for everyone. And when I find that they see it's truly the rule for everyone, and this is fair, and I also don't let nobody help me regulate. A lot of kids will go to help, will help you regulate the kid with the problem. And I'm like, no.
Yes.
Mind your business. Tend to you. Let's keep you straight. I got this. I don't need any help. And I really want to horn in this because a lot of parents don't realize when they don't train the children suffers for it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of teachers will let those children go to work helping to discipline that child. So this child now is being blamed for things maybe they didn't do because you can't see it all.
Right. Exactly.
So, she said this, he took my this, he hit me. And now that they have the label as the troubled kid, the bad kid, now we got a problem for real.
Yes, and that occurs so often today in schools. You know, you see the children who struggle either academically or they struggle behaviorally or emotionally, and oftentimes these children are so frustrated. And I often say to people, we have no idea what some of these children are dealing with. We don't. We don't go home
Oh
with
my
them,
goodness, no.
and we have no idea of what they're going through. You know, you may have a kid come into class every day and they're falling asleep. You know, it may be because they're seeing things at home. But going back to what you said, I truly believe that we do such a disservice to children, even as adults, our peers, when we are not honest with them. It is just such a disservice. What I'm learning about the world today, and especially with everything going on, really being careful and cautious when you are talking to people or possibly correcting people. Everything needs to be.
Easily offended, right? They're so
Yes,
easily offended. So choose your
yes,
words
yes,
carefully.
yes. That's the world that we're in today, and I myself, I'm learning to change my approach so that my honesty is not an honesty that may be viewed as insensitive. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a
It's
fine balance there.
yes, yes. It's really been interesting because with many of our parents, it's also the ability to talk with them and share things or ask. Have you noticed this? With your child, or notice that, what are your thoughts in regards to these behaviors? And, oftentimes they're like, well, he acts like that all the time. So it's seen and viewed as normal when in fact there may be something more going on that we really need to look at. So,
And I think the devices is one of them.
yeah.
I've canceled many people, and I never thought about the device and how much it's hurting our relationships, our children, just so many areas. We touch it every day in so many ways.
Yes.
I mean, when I did the list, I was appalled. It was very alarming to me how much we use the phone. We use it for everything.
Or think about the kid that's on the device from the time they arrive home from school, all day, all night, hours at a time. Imagine their eyes, how it's impacting their eyes, it's
Hurts the vision.
impacting their brain, you know, really not being in everyday life because you're so consumed with this video game. And everything is about the video game.
Everything.
Everything. And that is how they connect with each other, is through video games. They can connect with each other. They can have conversations through video games. It's really interesting. I was watching a kid play a video game and he was talking to another kid. And I mean, they can talk
Yeah,
to
the
each
chat.
other. But think about all of the other people that are on these video games that are not safe people. We have human trafficking at home, which is so significant in Pensacola, and it's just so many different ways that people are connecting with children. And that can be an avenue for them to connect with them. The video games, the TikToks, and all of these different things that they have out today. But
Oh, yeah.
everything is about getting followers. Everything is about, getting hits and getting likes. And think about the detriment that it does to young ladies, young girls, when they don't see themselves as beautiful as the next girl, or they're looking at, videos of things that you can do to have people like you more. Yeah, it's just
so
so
sad.
much. Yeah, it's so much out here today.
Wow, wasn't that great? We actually covered much more in that interview, but there just wasn't enough time. But not to worry, we're going to pick up the rest of the interview on the next episode. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Until then, we'll see you next time on The Heart of the Matter.
Thanks for watching tonight. If this show has been a blessing to you, help us be a blessing to others. There are two major ways to do that. The first way is your financial support. We'd love for you to partner with us. With as little as $10, you can help us reach about 1,000 people. That's pretty awesome, right? Every dollar helps us get this message to the world. So just go to ltmorlando.org/THM to give today. The second way, you can show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at LTM Orlando. Your support on social goes a long way. Thanks again for watching tonight, The Heart of the Matter.